Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap season 4, episode 4 of Power. And it was entitled We're in This Together. And this episode here was like, oh my God, it's so much to cover that I know this is going to be a long video, but we're going to get through it. So there is absolutely no reason why I am doing this video so late, because I actually watched Power like as soon as it's released on the app, and which is like midnight on Saturday night or Sunday morning, however you look at that. And I have got to do better. But by the way, if you like the Shaws of Sunset, I recapped that one also, and it'll be up after this one. Do you all remember that episode of The Wire when Stringer Bell told Avon that he actually was the one that had ordered the hit on Avon's nephew D'Angelo? And remember the line where he says, see, some lives need to be snatched, because they were talking about killing people or something, and you got to be smart about, when you kill people. And just because you think somebody needs to die don't mean that you just rush out and do it. You got to be strategic about it. Well, I see a whole bunch of people whose lives need to be snatched on Power. So let's just start making a list of people who may not make it to the end of the season. And here's my list. So Ghost in the jailhouse gym, getting his workout on when Charlie Murphy, which we find out that his character's name is Clyde Williams. So now I feel better about saying that this character needs to die, because I was just kind of conflicted, feeling some kind of way about Charlie Murphy, knowing that he passed away not too long ago. So he comes in and he's trying to intimidate Ghost, and Ghost was lifting weights, and it must have been a whole lot of weights on the thing. And so he takes the weights and drop them and like pressing them down, like he's gonna choke Ghost with the weight bar, and he's like pressing it down on him. And so Ghost was like looking up at this camera in the ceiling, and then he made the mistake of telling Ghost that, don't be trying to report me, because other folks done got the same thing that you getting and nothing happened. But Ghost is a little bit smarter than you, Mr. Cloud Williams, and we about to get rid of you. And maybe I'll just snatch you off my list of people that need to get got, because look like Ghost done got rid of you for us. So in a meeting with Proctor and Silver, they're asking Ghost about the people that the feds pulled in, because Ghost didn't know. I don't think he knew that they had gotten Dre and all of them and questioned them. But he insists that he never heard of someone named Bailey Markham. And I'm thinking that Bailey Markham is the Homeland Security guy who is friends with Greg Knox. But then when they bring up Dre and Julio, he says, yeah, I know them. They were employed by me. And, all they're going to tell the feds is that, I'm an upstanding citizen, that I gave them a chance and a job when nobody else would. And so, Proctor, he believed whatever Ghost tell him. But Silver sitting there like, are you sure about that? And Ghost is like, yeah, I'm very sure about that. So when Ghost asked if they could, he was changing the subject and whatnot, if they could get the gun thrown out, Silver starts taunting him, until he loses his control. And then he points out that if he pops off on the stand like he just did in that room, that he'll be seen as the angry black man, and that'll hurt his case. And so then Ghost was looking at him like, Negro, are you serious? But, Ghost convinced Silver, that he was telling the truth about the gun. And then Silver says, okay, well, I'll go see if I can file a motion to have it tossed out. And I still can't figure out, is Silver with Ghost, or is he not with Ghost? Or is he just an arrogant butthole that likes taunting him, sort of like how Clyde Williams was taunting him with the barbells? So after Silver leaves, then Ghost asks Proctor to investigate, the Clyde Williams guy. And he gives him the name of some guy and was telling him to check into an incident in the weight room where, he was messing with another inmate, and maybe that person had gotten hurt or killed or something like that. So, Proctor said he's on it. So he also wants Proctor to tell Tommy to see what he can learn about Teresi's involvement with the deal of someone named Roberto Saletti. And so Ghost still doesn't trust Silver, but Proctor says that he's the man, that he's the one for the job, and he's the one that's going to be able to get Ghost off. It's a good thing because later in the show, the feds have Proctor kicked off the case and threatened with disbarment. So it seems that Proctor has been caught conversing with Tommy, and that is a complete conflict of interest, but we'll talk about that later in the recap. So I'm getting fed up with everyone disrespecting Julio and making him doubt himself. So I think it was Cristobal, is that how you pronounce that? So he comes in, to make the money drop. And when Julio asked him, why he's late, he said that he had to go check on Domingo. And so I guess Julio didn't know that Tommy, had done ran over the man and messed up his leg, and his facial expression let Cristobal know that he didn't know about it either. Cristobal was all up in Julio's face, and telling him that, he needs to check himself and that nobody trusts him or respects him and believe in him. And then Julio had this little sad look on his face. And I'm like, why y'all got to be treating him like that? So when Tommy comes in to pick up the money, Julio lets him know that Dre hasn't dropped off his money. And he asks Tommy, about Domingo. And of course, Tommy tells him that if he had, stood up to the people, the Latinos or Athenos, maybe they're Greek, I don't know, so many nationalities going on here, that basically if Julio had stood up and checked them, that he wouldn't have had to go and show them that they mean business and that they can't be, they're not weak and are going to be taken advantage of. So he tells Julio to stop whining. So Julio points out that Tommy is screwing up the relationship with Cristobal and that it's costing them extra kilos because every time he has to go and mend fences, he's offering these guys extra drugs, to stay with them and, trust them until Ghost gets out of jail. So then Tommy asked him about the meeting with the feds and why was he there longer than Dre. So Julio, he's quick to jump when he feels Tommy is questioning his loyalty and asks if Dre told him, that he was in there longer. And so Tommy is like, I didn't say nothing about snitching, but you better have Dre's money by midnight, or you're not going to be the distro any longer. So again, Julio, the camera pan out with Julio looking all sad and depressed, like they done hurt his feelings. And I'm thinking, Julio, you may need to go kill somebody to get these people to take you serious. Because obviously trying to be level-headed and talk some sense into Tommy is a waste of time. So then Julio goes to get the money from Dre, and Dre is being all arrogant and everything, talking about he was taking care of, stuff at the club, like, he's an important businessman. He ain't got time for these street dealings. So Julio confronts him about talking to Tommy, but Dre denies it and say, how would I have known that, how long you were in with the feds, so now Julio looking paranoid and crazy again. And so then he tells Julio, that he thought things over and they ain't got no more beef and he's cool with him. And I'm like, Julio, don't fall for it. You can't trust Dre. And as soon as Julio leaves, Dre shows what an asshole he really is. So Cristobal comes in asking Dre about his drop, which I'm thinking, like, what business of yours is be coming to Dre about money that goes to Tommy? So Dre gonna mess around and tell Tommy that you asked about that drop, and then you gonna get dropped because we know Tommy ain't too stable. So then Cristobal shares with Dre, that he thinks that Julio is weak and that Julio didn't even know about Domingo getting run over by Tommy. And so then Dre is like, oh, let's get him some champagne over here and some whatever they serving up in that doggone club. He's like, so what else? What was you saying about Julio? I'm just like, Dre, you gonna be the first man down. You gonna be the first life to get snatched before this season is over with, because you just trying to play both ends against the middle, and it just ain't gonna work out that way for you, bro. So Angela gets back on the team, so she's all happy. And now John is going to use her arrogance to his advantage because they were talking about the case and everything. And then all other guys were basically saying that, they just want to see James St. Patrick get the needle. And then Angela, she's like, oh yeah, well, that makes all of us like, yeah, girl, you really want your man to die. Like, you're not even convincing with it. So after the other guys leave out, John stops her and he talks to her and lets her know that he found out that she had went to Ghost and offered him that deal behind his back. But now he's going to use her arrogance and defiance to his interest. So he wants her to go. Now I thought he said he wanted her to go back to Ghost. And she said that she'd rather not. But maybe he told her to go see Tasha. Or she took it upon herself to go see Tasha instead of going back to see Ghost. But anyway, John countered and told her that he'd rather that she had never went and saw Ghost in the first place. So she need to get on and do what he told her to do. And I'm thinking like, girl, you can't have it both ways. Like, you either going to be with the team or you're going to be trying to get Ghost out and fix this mess that you done made. So Tasha. Did I tell you, girl, to stop going to talk to Angela every time she called unless you are ready to bop her in her doggone mouth? Because she gets you every time. And at least this time you did try to act a little aggressive, even though it didn't work out too well. But I'm glad that's what you said. That you would slap the F out of her. I think that's what you said. So Angela, who has always got to lay out, some story reminding Tasha that she's closer to Ghost than his own wife, and that, she was the better woman and he loved her and all this other foolishness. So she got information again, Tasha, that you don't have, leaving you standing there looking a fool. So Angela tells Tasha that Ghost was offered the deal that could keep her from testifying and from being arrested and implicated in the crime, but he didn't tell Tasha about it. And it was apparent that, but he turned the offer down. And so it was apparent on Tasha's face that she knew nothing about the deal. And I'm thinking, like, even when Angela get you, can you just put on your poker face and try to make it seem like you know what's going on? Cuss her out, tell her to mind her own business. Just like do something instead of standing there looking like a dang on fool. I want to spit in Angela's face every time she starts these long diatribes. No, heifer, you and Tasha are not in this together. She's trying to save her husband and you're just trying to save your selfish self. Because I think you figured out now, Angela, that if Ghost goes down, you're going down with him. But you got to figure out a way to save everybody now. But it's all in order to save yourself. So Tasha, don't you have just one person? Like, how are y'all gangsters and don't have that one person that you can call on the phone and say, girl, here's a couple of grand. I need you to catch this heifer. This is where she lived. Drag her into an alley and stump mud holes into her face. Because Angela needs a beat down. Okay, maybe we need her to help get Ghost out of jail. But once Ghost is out of jail, somebody please snatch her life. So that's another person on my list whose life needs to be snatched. Then we have a scene where Tasha and Keisha, they come in from shopping, and when Keisha finds out that Tommy has been staying the night at Tasha's place, she's feeling some kind of way and all up in her feelings. And Tasha tells Keisha, about the meeting with Angela, and Keisha's like, girl, instead of being on Ghost's side, you need to be on your own side. And see, when you all caught up in and entangled in nonsense, the last thing you need is people yapping in your head, because then you get confused and you start making mistakes and making the wrong decisions. So, Tasha, you need to get Keisha out your business, because she can't keep her mouth shut, and then she's speaking from inexperience because she don't know nothing about the game and nothing about the whole loyalty part of you trying to hold things down at home as well as protect Ghost and what he's going through. And you listen to Tasha and you mess around here and get all of y'all locked up in jail. So Tasha goes to see Ghost to let him know, that his skank hoe told him about the deal, and she's upset that he didn't take the deal or talk it over with her, especially knowing that it could have saved her and from prison, possibly going to jail. And so Ghost pretty much knows that Angela is trying to play both sides of the fence, and so Tasha puts her foot down and tells him that going forward they're in this together, and he's not to make another decision without consulting her first. And I said, okay, go ahead on, Miss Tasha, run things. So back with the Keystone Cops, Angela lets John know that it isn't, that she really isn't the baddest chick after all, because she couldn't get Tasha to take the bait. And then Cooper and Sandoval walk in and they give them Proctor's motion to suppress the gun. John is like pissed off. So that these two, we already know they got some history, and I think they said that Proctor had won 3 cases, was 3-1 against John. So John is feeling the pressure right now. So they have the hearing on the gun, and Proctor is questioning the black guy, Donovan. So he's laying out this trail showing that Donovan and his men are always the ones that uncover all the evidence, that get the indictment, and just know everything on Ghost. And so he's trying to say that Donovan is the mole, or that he's planting evidence, and he probably was the one that planted the gun since he was the one that found the gun. And he was just saying all kind of stuff. So Donovan loses his cool and just cussed Proctor out on the stand. And I think the whole team of John, Sandoval, Cooper, they all jumped up. It was like, objection, objection, objection. And so they pan over to the table, to the defense table, and so Silver leans over to Ghost and was like, see, the angry black man. So I was just like, Silver is a trip. So I don't know, maybe he is in Ghost Corner, but Ghost got a good look at what brothers look like when they go off on the stand, so maybe he need to chill out and control his temper in case they have to throw him up there. So the camera goes back, to the Keystone Cops, and they standing there realizing that they the gun will probably get thrown out and they're in trouble. So John tells them that they need to start working another angle on how they're going to bring James St. Patrick down. So then we go over to Tommy, and, like I said, he was sleeping on the couch at Tasha's, and I guess he took the whole, take care of my family to heart when he talked to Ghost on the phone the night before. So Proctor finally tells Tommy about Teresi, and Tommy is like, what I need. One more thing on my plate that I got to be worried about, and to get, we don't need to be caught up in this mob business. So I guess there's like a difference between the mob and then these drug dealers on the street, and the mob must be superior to what level Tommy and them is, because he wasn't trying to be involved with any of that. But like a good soldier, Tommy says he's got it and he'll take care of it. So Tommy goes to take the money to Teresi's wife, and Tommy is so impatient because he knocked on the door and the man came to the door. He was like checking Tommy out, and he's like, what, am I at the wrong place? And I'm just like, somebody is going to beat you behind, Tommy. And so then he comes in and he's just clowning the man, for watching Judge Judy. And then he starts questioning the man's loyalty to Teresi, because he's like, why Teresi in jail and you home watching Judge Judy? And then he starts, setting the guy up, because remember, he got to get the information on this Roberto Saletti guy. So then he starts, taunting the guy like, well, if you were so loyal, what did you do? Did you shoot this person? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? And then he finally gets to Roberto Saletti's name. And so the guy kind of like flinched, like, what the hell did you just say? So at the same time, the wife comes in and she speaks up. So I don't know if she heard the part about Roberto Saletti and was like trying to, stop the Sammy guy from saying anything else to Tommy. And so then Tommy ends up leaving. So then he goes to Keisha's shop, and here she goes questioning him, about why he's staying at Tasha's house. And then I noticed this about Keisha. Keisha talked to Tasha, then she goes back and tells Tommy everything that Tasha said. And then when she with Tommy, she goes back to Tasha and tells Tasha everything that Tommy said. And that's not a good look at all, Keisha. So you might need to get your life snatched by the end of this show, because you running your mouth all the time. So she is really clueless, about how this whole loyalty thing works. But Tommy knows how to shut up real quick. So all I can say is this sex scene from this episode was way better than the sex scene from when he hit it the first time on the counter in her kitchen. So I'm just like, Keisha is so dumb. Like, she's one of those chicks that's controlled by the DICK, and all Tommy got to do is put it on her real good, and she'll be okay. So after Tommy got off and came, he was like, gotta go, baby. It's just like, Keisha, you can't be this easy. Like, she didn't even protest. They all up in the salon in one of the chairs. So I feel sorry for whoever was getting their hair done next, because it was like all kind of bodily fluids all over that chair by the time they got through. They spinning all around and Tommy holding on to her butt. I was like, go ahead on. Carmela probably was sitting there home mad because they were showing tits, they were showing butt. He was probably like, no, this helper did not. So then Teresi calls Sammy, to find out if Tommy had dropped the money off. And so he tells Teresi that Tommy is who he think he is, which I think everybody knows by now that Tommy is Teresi's son. I mean, like, the signs are all there unless they come up with something really outlandish and crazy. I think it's safe to say that Teresi is Tommy's dad. Now, I don't know if Ghost's going to end up killing Teresi, and then that's going to be a whole nother issue between him and Tommy when Tommy finds out. But there was a scene where Connie came in and she was asking Sammy, to fill her in and tell her who Tommy was and what did he mean by, that's him, when he was talking to Teresi on the phone, and she was saying that her and Teresi been married for 40 years and he's never kept a secret from her, and she has every right to know what's going on at her house. So I'm 99.9% sure that it's going to come out that Teresi is Tommy's dad. So Proctor contacts Bailey, with the Homeland Security to try and find out what he has. And so Bailey says that he's not interested in helping Ghost or Proctor out. Like, all he wants to do is clear Greg Knox's name. So Proctor is like, why isn't the prosecution using you as a witness if you got these tapes, that can prove that Knox wasn't the mole in the case? So Bailey is so anxious to reveal what he knows that he agrees to meet with Proctor to let him hear the recordings, and he is so out of his league, because I thought in the last episode that Sandoval was going to end up killing him, because he running around talking to Sandoval and to Cooper and anybody that'll listen to him. I think he even went and talked to Angela. So Bailey jokes that if Proctor uses the recordings, that he'll have to choose between his two clients, and he was kind of like chuckling about it. So Proctor is so off his game when it comes to Tommy, because he should know better than anybody else that Tommy is out of his mind. So he meets with him about the drop to Teresi and tells Tommy about his meeting with Bailey, and that Bailey has the information that might implicate him in, was it Logos? Yeah, I think it was the killing of Logos. So now Tommy wants to be there for the meeting. And I'm thinking, bad move, Proctor, because Tommy is a loose cannon and this cannot turn out well. So Proctor goes to see Ghost and tells him that he may be able to get Clyde Williams reassigned, or he did get him reassigned, because now there was another marshal that was guarding Ghost for the rest of the show. And then he tells him about the recording, but Ghost says that he's not going to tell on Tommy, that he would never turn on Tommy, which I really believe that. I don't know why nobody else believes it. So Proctor lets Ghost know that Sammy and Connie flinched when Tommy mentioned Saletti's name. Then says that Tommy wrote him a note on a piece of paper, so he slips the paper to Ghost and tells him to eat the paper after he get through reading it. And he tells him to be careful, you know, with whatever it is that he's going to plan, you know, based on this information. But I'm thinking, no, Proctor, you're the one that needs to be careful, because you just told Tommy that he can come to this meeting with you and this man from Homeland Security. So then we have the scene with Proctor and Bailey having their meeting, and this is exactly why he should not have told Tommy about the meeting or about Bailey. So Tommy is hiding in another room listening to the recording and their conversation, and so Bailey lays out exactly what happened, and that, you know, what Proctor needs to know about the tapes and what he should do and how the prosecution, you know, gonna play it on their end. But then he messed around and played the tape for Proctor where Tommy killed Ruiz. And I'm just like, Lord Jesus. So Tommy comes in, and we already know what happened. He killed Bailey. It was just the way he killed him. He had like this, some kind of knife. It was a little crazy looking knife, but he gutted that man like a doggone fish. And I'm just like, really, Tommy? Like, you just killed the man in your lawyer's home? Blood just everywhere, all over the hardwood floors. Like, this was a federal agent, Tommy, that you just killed. Do you ever think? So I'm like, oh my God, you know, Tommy is so reactionary. He thinks that Ghost was trying to set him up, and then Proctor tells him that Ghost was the one, you know, so then Proctor tells him that Ghost was actually in Knox's apartment trying to find the recording to protect Tommy. And then Tommy tries to take Bailey's laptop, but Proctor is like, fool, give me that damn laptop, because we got to find out what else this man knew, if there's any other copies out there. Like, does anybody else know about this recording? And I think Bailey did tell Proctor that he told the feds about the recording, but he never let them listen to the recording, so they don't know exactly what the recording said. But I'm just like, dang, Tommy, what is wrong with you? Why you got to always be messing stuff up? Oh, and then Proctor says that he knows somebody that can get rid of the body. And I'm thinking, see, this is why I couldn't be a criminal, because I don't trust nobody. Like, all these people they pulling in to help them do stuff. Because who is this person that's going to help you get rid of this body? Is this like some, you know, some other criminal that you done help keep out of jail, who you know that knows that you got something on them, and they will die before they reveal who you are or what you did, Proctor? But anyway, let's move on over to Tariq. So Tariq is about as annoying as Angela. He's over there with Kanan, you know, again, drinking that lean, getting towed up, and Kanan gives him, you know, his share of the money for the last robbery when they robbed Ethan's house. So Tariq has set his eyes on some young girl that was in the apartment, and I'm like, why, little girl, are you in the apartment with these grown men? And we know that his little wee-wee is about to get him into some trouble. So meanwhile, Kenan, you know, he's ready to set up another person from Tariq's school. And I'm just like, Tariq, you are so dumb. So then back at home, Raina goes in Tariq's room looking for something and finds the money. And Tariq comes in and cursing her out and telling her, you know, she better not tell Tasha. And I'm just like, Tariq, why do you treat your little sister like this? Like, this poor little girl is going through so much, and she is just like carrying the burden of everybody in this show. And I'm just waiting on her to explode, because just so much pressure on her, and she has got to be feeling like crap through all of this. Like, she's all alone and doesn't have anybody that she can depend on or trust. So Tariq decides that he's going to set up his friend Chad. I'm just like, why don't you get the rest of the white boy bully crew and set them up? But no, he's going to do one of his friends in. And so while the boy is entering the code, the security code, Tariq is standing over him, and then he's texting the numbers to Kanan and the other guy. So these fools pull up in this black van that says adult daycare. there. And I'm like, oh my God. So it was these two white ladies walking down the street, and they was looking at them like, what are y'all up to? So then a cop was across the street, and he comes, like, hey, what are y'all doing? How long are y'all going to be parked there? You can't be leaving that van there. So I guess that was to reassure the white women that they were okay and that the police was, on top of things. So they walk on off, and then it turns out that the police officer is the guy that be with the other police officer that works for Kanan. So Tariq's friend, they're playing video games, and he hears something and he wants to contact the alarm company. So Tariq tells him, no, I'll go check it out and see what's going on. And plus, I'm going to make some more lean for us, so we can have a good time. And Kanan and the other guy, they're cleaning out the place, stealing the TVs and all the electronic devices. So they get to bickering back and forth about the guy was looking for something, and the guy said, no, I was looking for some dope in here. And so I thought it was interesting the way Tariq was talking to them like he was the head HINC. Kanan didn't flinch or anything. So I'm like, this little boy getting beside himself. But what was really on my mind is, how was they going to walk out these people's house with all this stuff and load it into this van that says adult daycare? Like, wouldn't somebody be like, why is the adult daycare people taking TVs and all this other stuff out of these people's house? But anyway, let's keep it moving. So Tasha drops the kids off at school, and she decides that she's going to confront the principal about the lack of security and the paparazzi bothering her child, and her child's face being plastered all over this newspaper. So the lady is like, well, we've never had a student before whose parent was in jail for murder, but since you done rolled up here in my face, let me drop a little nugget on you. So she tells Tasha that the check for the kids' tuition had bounced. And so Tasha said, well, there's money in my account, so you need to run that check again. So the lady said, well, I did one better. I called the bank branch manager, and he told me that your assets are frozen. So Tasha, I'm like, Tasha always up in somebody's face, and they always got information that she don't have. And I'm thinking like, Tasha, what kind of bank y'all banking that the feds didn't contact you? I mean, that the bank didn't contact you and let you know that the feds had frozen your assets? Because I know people who have had their assets frozen. Like when the IRS come in and go to garnish your account, most banks will close your account and let you know the IRS try to get your money. So I'm not understanding why the bank didn't call you and say, I'm sorry to let you know, but your assets have been frozen, Miss St. Patrick's. And then I'm trying to figure out, do these fools not have offshore bank accounts, like to protect their money from the government? Or is they just putting everything in Chase Bank and thinking that it's okay? Y'all got to be some smarter criminals than y'all been. The little old white lady at the school told Tasha, I give you to the end of the week, but if you don't come up with my money, your kids will be suspended. So I'm like, oh my God, can it get any worse? Well, yes, it can, because Keisha was closing up the shop that night, and the feds came and seized the shop, told her they were shutting her down. So, of course, she freaking out and standing right there in front of the feds, calling Tasha to ask Tasha what's going on. I'm just like, seriously, girl? And then we're going to add some more onto this. Dre had told Cristobal that they were opening up the club in 30 minutes. Well, they wasn't opening up no club because the folks done rolled up in Truth and shut it down as well. So I'm just like, okay, game is heating up real hot for y'all right now. So when Tasha gets home, she's answering the phone from where Keisha's calling. And like I said, Keisha all frantic, running her mouth in front of the feds. And so Tasha was telling her, okay, calm down, girl. Let me change my clothes. Let me breathe a little bit and figure out what I'm going to do about this situation. So then Dre calls Julio to let Julio know, that they done shut the club down. So, when Tommy finds out, he is going to go ballistic. And then Raina overhears the conversation with Tasha and Keisha, and then she goes, I think she heard the elevator and she went to tell Tariq, but she saw Tariq on the elevator, but before she could say anything, Tariq cussed her out again and told her, not to say anything, he'll be back later. And I'm just like, Tariq, why are you being so rude and disrespectful to your sister? because I think when it all boils down, it's going to be Raina that's going to help Tariq when it comes time for Kanan to snatch his life from him. So Dre takes Kanan his cut of the money, that 50 G that he had, or 45 grand that he owes Kanan every week. And he lets Kanan know that the club has been shut down and he won't be able to pay him the following week. And Kanan is like, bro, that ain't my problem. Like, you need to figure out how you going to get my money. But in the meantime, you need to go home and take care of your daughter. So I think that was like a low-key threat that if he don't come with that money the following week, that they're going to do something to his daughter. So Dre, looking at Kanan when all of a sudden Tariq walks in. So he goes over to Tariq and telling him, dude, you need to come on and let's go. And Tariq like, nah, man, I think I'm going to stay. And I'm thinking like, Dre, if you was for real, you would have grabbed that little joker by his collar and dragged him out of that apartment. But, Dre being the punk that he is, he just walked on out. So they give Tariq some weed, and he almost choked to death because he don't know what he's doing. And then Kanan tells him, oh, I bet that ain't the only thing that you ain't never done before. So he gets the girl, from earlier in the show that Tariq was checking out, and, gets her to go in the bedroom with Tariq so he can lose his virginity. So I'm thinking, why is, said it earlier, why is this young girl up in this apartment with these old guys, which, I guess this is part of the culture, the kids in the inner city and the parents don't care. But she starts asking Tariq, what he's doing there with the OGs. And I'm thinking, what are you doing there with the OGs? And, she says that her parents don't care what she do. And, she's just having fun. So Tariq asked her if Slim told her to come into the room and break him off a little pieces. So she was like, Slim who? So I'm thinking, this boy finally gonna realize that Slim is Kanan, but the girl doesn't say anything. She's just like, no, I came in here because I wanted to come in here. Then we go back to the jail, and Ghost is back in the gym when Teresi comes in to let him know that, they got the money and that he wants to meet Tommy. So Ghost is like, hell to the no, you will not be meeting Tommy. And as a matter of fact, we ain't giving you no more money either. So Teresi grabbed Ghost all by the neck and had him all up like this here, was telling him, that he knows that he's Ghost and, he gonna tell on him and everything. But Ghost let him know that he got the upper hand. Because when he said that the Saletti family would love to know who killed their father, like all the color just drained out of Teresi's face. So I guess Connie really won't need that money after all, and Sammy will be good as dead also, because whoever the Saletti family is, they must not be the people to mess with, because Ghost told Teresi, after he laid out the plan, like, we ain't giving you no more money, you're not meeting Tommy, and you're not going to tell the feds anything about me. He told Teresi to shake, just nod your head if you heard and you understand me. And so the poor man said, so them Salettis must be some bad brothers over there, because they got everybody shook. So then we have a scene where Ghost is called into the courtroom, and Proctor says he doesn't know why that they're there. So Silver lets Ghost know that they must have found something when they seized his assets. So Ghost was like, what? Seized my assets? Man, ain't nobody said nothing. And so he lets Ghost know that they did it to scrutinize his data. Was there anything that they could have came up with? So Ghost is worried about his family, but Proctor is like, you need to be worried about what they may have found, when they was going through your stuff. But Ghost is sitting there like, what the hell else can happen to me? So Silver is, he's confused why they seized the assets for a murder trial. It says that they usually reserve that for RICO cases. And he wants to know what Proctor and Ghost are keeping from him, because he realizes that they got a secret relationship going on, which kind of made me think that earlier, that Proctor may have been the one that let them know. I know they're telling Tommy, but did the tail pull up that Proctor and Ghost know something, or did Silver like kind of help the feds out to get Proctor out of the way so he can get into Ghost's head and figure out, if Ghost is telling the truth of what's going on, or did they find, maybe like from Keisha's records where I think Tasha and Tommy's name are on the beauty salon and they tied it together. So that added like a whole nother dynamic. So they are there, we find out, to disqualify Proctor, which I mentioned earlier they were successful in doing. So, they were saying it was a conflict of interest because when Angela offered Ghost the offer, Proctor told Ghost not to take the deal, and that was in direct conflict with, him being a lawyer for both Ghost and Tommy, because had he taken the deal, he would have had to testify against Tommy. So they're trying to make that connection. And I'm thinking, dang, Ghost, she didn't do it on purpose, but Angela done screwed you over once again. So Silver asked for a mistrial, saying that it's too close to the trial for them to be able to lodge a good defense without the lead attorney. But the judge tells him that he's convinced that he can do a good job, that Silver's smart enough to be able to put up a good defense. And he says, plus the jury hasn't been impaneled yet, so there's no need for a mistrial. And then he goes, oh, and by the way, I was going to reveal this at 2 p.m., but I'm tossing the gun out. So I'm like, okay, one small victory at a time, and hopefully Ghost will be home soon. So I felt so sorry for Proctor when he had to go and tell Ghost that he was no longer his lawyer, because when he would go visit Ghost, they would be in this room where nobody could hear what they were talking about. But this time they had to meet in the the common visitors area where they sit there with that glass in between them and they talking on them telephones. And so he just couldn't even look Ghost in the eye. But he just basically said, I'm no longer your attorney, but you're in good hands with Silver. And he got up and walked out. And Ghost was sitting there like, I take one step forward and I got to get pushed back about 10 more steps. And he was just looking like, what I'm going to do now? So the show ends with Proctor going to reason with Angela. He was drunk. So he was ready to tell her what all, he wanted to get off his chest. And so he says that Ghost was stupid in choosing Angela. And he kept telling, Ghost that messing with Angela was going to mess him up, but he wouldn't listen. And so I'm glad somebody finally stood up to Angela and told her that she is the cause of all of this. And at least he planned it. She was denying it. It was like, get away from my door. You don't know what you're talking about. He killed Knox. And so anyway, girl, we don't know how long you're going to ride with that, because you can't be that stupid to really believe that he killed Knox. Not at this point. So, he Proctor planted the seed, in her head, letting her know that, Ghost would never do that, and that, he didn't have that gun in the office. So he did enough to get her going and want to go and look at the surveillance footage to see, if Ghost planted the gun. And so when she got them to deliver her the footage, she realized that Sandoval was the last person that had viewed the footage. And so she's watching it. And I guess the footage was taken from the night that Ghost had actually gone to Knox's apartment. And so he comes back to truth, and he's in there and he's meeting with the employees and stuff, and he's walking all around the room, going all in his desk. But at no time did he walk over to that bar area where they found the gun planted at. So now she realizes that she was wrong about Ghost all along. And so we'll see what happens next time, whether she's going to reveal the information, if she's going to try and help Ghost in any kind of way, or if she's still trying to cover her own behind. That's it for me, guys. Let me know what you think. What is going on? Who do you think needs to get killed on this show because they are just too volatile and too much of a threat to the organization, or because they're just getting on your nerves? Leave a comment below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, take care, guys. Bye-bye.